this meeting to order. Ask you please to rise. We have our invocation by Commissioner Jones. I'll ask you please to remain standing.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come together today and to conduct the business of the citizens of Effingham County. We pray that you'll be with us and lead us and guide us and help us make good decisions as we deliberate and help us represent the people well. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Becca Velasquez to come forward. She's a 10th grade student at ECHS and serves as the Vice President of the 4-H leadership team. She's very involved in the 4-H programs on the county, district, state, and national level. Some of her accomplishments include one of only 7 students chosen nationwide as a STEM ambassador for National 4-H Council, Georgia 4-H certified team leader, participates in the public speaking project, and placed first at district project achievement in January. She will represent Effingham 4-H at State 4-H Congress in Atlanta in July, volunteers for community projects through 4-H. She has consented to lead us in our pledge to the American flag. Ask you please to direct your attention at that time.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Becca. Ask you please to be seated. I appreciate these 4-H leaders for taking their time to come and help us in our commission meetings. First item is consideration of a resolution to approve our agenda. Each of the commissioners should have been passed out an amended agenda. Item number 11 has been altered to expand upon that item. And I have been asked to table item number 13. Let the record show that Commissioner Deloach is not with us this evening due to a death in his family. Item number 13 is something that has interest to him, and it is asked that it be tabled due to his absence. Any other changes or corrections to the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the agenda with the number 11, the change of number 11 and tabling item number 13.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Lover, second by Commissioner Floyd. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next item is approval of our minutes. Let's do this separately, just in case there's any changes to either one. First item, consideration to approve the minutes for the March 15, 2016 SPLOST workshop. Any changes or corrections to those? I'll entertain a motion on those minutes.
Make a motion to approve for the workshop March 15th. Second.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Lover, second by Commissioner Kiefer to approve the March 15, 2016 SPLOST workshop minutes as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And I was not here for the whole meeting, so I will not vote on our regular commission meeting. I'll have to early.
Okay, but for the SPLOST workshop,
I was here for that.
that's all we're considering at that time.
Yes, I know.
All right. So now before us is consideration to approve the minutes for the March 15, 2016 regular commissioners meeting. All right, Commissioner Loper has already stated he was not here for the entire meeting, so.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
I have a motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Kiefer to approve those as written. 1, 2. Commissioner Loper is abstaining because he is not here. That leaves 3 commissioners. By George, I get to vote.
This is your first official vote.
This is the first time.
How about that? 4 years?
It's a big one.
Huh?
I think I'll take it back so you
No, I don't. Wait a minute. No, I don't get to vote.
I was gonna say, no.
Only if there's a tie.
That's right.
You don't need one
No,
more.
I still have a quorum. I make up the quorum. I don't get to vote
still
yet.
don't get to vote.
That's right.
Boy.
Oh, the meeting's not
Do you
over
want us
yet,
to
we still
create?
get a tie.
There's only 3 of us voting.
All right, I have a quorum still, so I have a motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Kiefer. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Still passes unanimously. I got excited there for just a short minute. All right. I apologize to the audience for my brief outburst of excitement. We'll go back to. All right. Should be noted that public comment should be limited to our agenda items only, and that our correspondence documents are for this meeting and for all meetings located in the clerk's office and on the Board of Commissioners website. On our consent agenda are 2 items. First item is sanitation releases. Consideration to approve the sanitation releases as are submitted by the sanitation department. Second item, consideration to approve to authorize a 1-year automatic renewal of lease agreements with DocuQuest for postage meters. That being the 2 items on our consent agenda, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Kiefer, second by Commissioner Loper. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. 1 item of old business. Item previously tabled from our February 16th, 2016 meeting, being a consideration to approve a request for a refund of water and sewer cost recovery fees collected at issuance of a building permit.
Yes, sir. At one of our prior meetings, the request was discussed, and I believe tabled at that point or removed at that point, so that our attorneys could look over this information and help describe and draft a policy. I believe that within your individual notebooks is a draft of that policy that came from Mr. Newberry. The outline of that drafted refund policy basically notes that there is a refund processing fee, that a refund as a result of the staff error or overpayment can be refunded. It then goes into an initial request for refund of fees, what that applicant must provide regarding the request, and then a series of stipulations as far as which particular items would or would not be refunded. I think the two that necessarily were in discussion was the water tap fee and the sewer tap fee, regarding whether those would or would not, or at what point they would or would not be refunded. And so we have brought that before you, the outline that has been drafted with the attorney and with some staff review to see our additions in red.
What you're saying is this is what was just handed to us in this gray notebook?
Yes,
That's what was in
the attorney's opinion.
okay.
You can basically just use that as guidance, as you know, you don't have to adopt a policy tonight.
Right.
It's just not on the agenda.
But the item before us tonight is whether or not to refund or not this item that's before us. It would be my opinion and my recommendation for this board this evening to simply deny this refund request and for us to look at policy and draft a policy for down the road. But for what's before us tonight that was tabled previously is to ask this board for a motion to simply deny this request.
The request is, this request is regarding water and sewer.
His particular request, that's correct.
Okay. That's what we're voting.
That's correct.
Okay.
I personally don't see where we need to reimburse him his money. I mean, he did it, there was no fault of the county, he didn't decide to build on that lot.
Like I said, what's before us tonight is whether to refund this request. The request before us tonight is whether to refund this money tonight. I would ask for a motion to deny this request.
What's our policy? Did he pay for the bill permit?
Yeah.
Yes.
Our policy is that they pay the water and sewer fee at time of building permit, which he did, and then he began construction. So he's gone by our policy, we've gone by our policy, and according to our current policy, I don't see where he has any right for us to do it.
No, I was just trying to
Yeah, yeah.
make sure it just was.
And something additionally that I do think is a valid point that Chairman Kessler pointed out in the last meeting when he made reference to the fact that he believed there was a construction loan on this, and say, for example, if the water and sewer fee was paid out of the draw, if the bank did ever end up foreclosing on it, they may feel that they actually have paid for that water and sewer, for that draw into that, and they may have a lien right to it, so that would cloud the situation up. So I think in this current situation, that definitely, I don't support it either.
Every previous refund of water and sewer tap fees that this board has done has been against lots that no building permit has been issued against. And that is the precedent that we have set up to this date. And I think this would be setting a new precedent that personally I'm not ready to set.
Because for whatever reason, the water and sewer was paid earlier than what our policy stated. It wasn't really required yet, but this one was paid when it was required by us, so it's valid.
So if he was to sell this lot to someone else to start building or to continue building this house, this fee would transfer with the lot. If he was to sell the lot to someone else to start building, this fee would transfer. If he sold the lot, if the bank was to come in and foreclose upon it to someone else, this fee could transfer with it. It's not like he's going to lose his money.
Correct. It's just that the board had requested the last time that we also pull policy for you, or potential policy, and give that to you also.
And we can continue looking at policy, but I'm not ready to start setting a policy on something that was handed to me 2 minutes ago.
Yes, sir.
And I'll say, I don't buy in completely into the relationship with the bank and the lien rights. That doesn't bother me so much, but the fact that there was a permit given is enough for me.
Yeah, that's the
That's kind of the threshold.
And in this case, construction
Crossed
actually
into
started.
You've crossed into construction.
And I could go further and state there are a lot of unpaid inspection fees, there's a lot of other costs out there associated with this. So, you know, we could go further into this, but for right now, I see no precedent to refund this money.
Yes, sir.
So I would ask the board for a motion.
I'll make a motion to deny the request. Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Kiefer and a second from Commissioner Lover to deny the request. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Moving forward, new business. First item, consideration to approve to amend the defined benefit retirement plan document. Good evening, Mr. Kevin.
How are you today?
I am great. Yourself?
Doing great. What you have before you are 3 documents. As our defined benefit plan is a living, breathing document in that the IRS continues to make adjustments to pre-tax contributions, how distributions can be done from the plan, and also as acts passed like the Pension Protection Act and USERA that update how these pensions can be distributed in particular ways. Those things need to be added to our plan. And the way that it's done is through the resolutions and the amendments. So basically, as an overview, there's 3 items that are being addressed. The first is a simple logistic and I'm going to say naming of the plan. In 2009, it's going back the amendments and transferring ownership from ACCG to the Effingham County Board of Commissioners, establishing you as the trustees and the responsible parties for the plan. Now, we operated under the other one, not a problem, but this gets in line and compliant with federal regulations as you are the trustees.
That was never done.
No, sir, it was not.
Okay.
The second part, and there's actually 4, I apologize, is to redefine spouse as per the Supreme Court's decision that it legalized same-sex marriage. So within the plan itself, it is going to simply replace and identify a spouse as possible same-sex and also eliminate the options for a spouse distribution under the old provisions of domestic partnerships and civil unions. They no longer qualify as a spousal distribution under the plan, and that's per the Supreme Court.
With what you're referring to right now, you're just saying that part of it we're bringing within compliance with federal law?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The second
So
one,
that I can be clear, is there somewhere that somebody has said, thou shalt put all of your documents and state this?
yes, that it is a requirement because previously a spouse could not be the same sex, so there were provisions that were put in for domestic unions for distribution or for civil unions with required documentation. Most plans, especially ones like ours, that have a life annuity that is available to the spouse, have to identify when the definition on the federal level is changed, that it can be done.
And I might be wrong, but I think you might have been, not just with this one specific thing, but these updates that we're doing, we've had an attorney review this and make recommendations to us as to what we need to do to get our document within legal compliance, and that's what we're doing today.
Yes, ma'am.
In general?
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, the attorney who is recommending this wrote it, the original document.
The ACCG attorney.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's what it was.
In a good way, I'm trying to ask, do we really have a choice in doing this, or is this something that we just have to do? This is,
In lieu of telling you what you have to do, yes, you have to do it.
okay. That's what I'm asking.
And most of it should have already been done, but we had something that this attorney reviewed it, we were unaware of.
Correct.
Okay.
And she was kind enough and worked hard enough and diligently for it.
So you're kind enough to point out what it is that we have to do to be in compliance with the law.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Second one is that it does now allow Roth IRA rollovers to post-tax. Excuse me. And then also it reflects changes from USERA, like I said, the Uniformed to the Military Act, and the transfer of the ownership. That's basically what the resolution draws out in a summary. And then there are two amendments. One to actually amend the trust agreement. And that one is the naming of the plan. And the second one is to amend the actual defined benefit plan document itself. And that's all the verbiage for USERA and the moving of the plan. And then also, one key item in this is that it removes the ability to borrow against the plan. That was previously in place, and we felt that was not necessary or prudent to have.
Which is something, for the record, we never
No.
intended to do, but it's something to clean up for our employees so that now we legally cannot do.
Correct. It's,
And we don't know about the intentions of previous board,
Right.
but we wanted to be sure that it was understood that we don't have a desire or intention to make it that way.
So that we fix it to where it can't be done.
correct.
Not without everybody behind us.
Right.
But no, it's very clear. This money was set aside, set up for the employees of the county, and you have placed another layer of protection against anything happening to
Eliminates
us.
that provision. It totally eliminates that provision for.
It's gone. And the things that are in here, it simply replaces verbiage or adds verbiage that was not there in the document itself. And staff has reviewed it, the attorney wrote it, we found no errors or faults. It pretty much takes care of everything we needed to do to be compliant to run the plan. So at this point, we would ask, recommend that you authorize the chairman to sign and execute these documents.
Any questions? Motion.
Make a motion to approve order number one, amend the plan document as presented by the reviewing attorney.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Loper, second by Commissioner Floyd. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. I don't know what it means whenever you say all in favor. Next item, consideration to approve updates for job descriptions and pay grades for Department 272.
As we have been going through the budget process and as we have been creating new jobs for the needs of the county, it's become apparent that our old job descriptions were written in 2000 by a consulting firm that was brought into the county to do so. They've been amended since then and modified when necessary. But over the past few years, federal regulations for the Americans with Disabilities Act has created a need to relook at all job descriptions. So this will be the first of many conversations we have, I'm sure. But these job descriptions are twofold. One, to compliant with the ADA. And two, is to create a true description of the requirements of the job. And the ADA requires that any essential function that you have in a job description, if one is removed, that job is no longer the same. So as we're going through, this was our first foray into it. And in your packets, you had new job descriptions for the building inspections coordinator, the building official, field engineering inspector 1 and field engineering inspector 2, plus updates to building inspector and lead building inspector. Another idea that we'd like to bring forward is the idea of tiering the job descriptions. These job descriptions don't necessarily represent active, currently open positions within the board, but what it does provide is a progression plan, so that as an employee is hired in, say as a field engineering inspector 1, there is a career path that is available to them, and it will help with longevity and retention of staff. There's a new format. There are core responsibilities and key competencies that are listed, knowledge of, ability to. And as we move forward in this, you'll start to see a lot more on paper of an appraisal system based on those key areas, and working with department heads and directors in creating these. So it's not just me sitting back at my desk saying, okay, I think they do this. This is going to be actual feet on the ground. What do they do? And when they come to me, we'll have conversations. Is this rateable? Is this something you can assign a number to or tell right away that this was done? So as we're going through all of this, this process will create a usable, workable appraisal process that, should the board decide that it's appropriate for that year, we can be implemented.
I think that's good.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What do we got now in the building department?
Job description wise?
What do we have, and tell me what they are and how many of them it is?
Okay. We have building inspectors. There are 3 positions, and one of those is the building official. We also have the building inspections coordinator position. We have an executive assistant, and then we have an administrative assistant.
So we got 7 people in the building department?
Well, actually, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
You just named 7.
One of the positions is not filled, one of the inspectors.
When he said 3 inspectors, he said one's an official.
The way I look at this, you need to have one person that's probably more qualified than the rest of them.
Yes, sir.
If you got 4 building inspectors, those 3 or 4 building inspectors, they go to a job. They should make the same thing. Why you don't pay one or more than the other? I mean, what? And you're not going to send 2 or 3 different people out to inspect the same house. If you got a qualified building inspector, that's all you need to go in and inspect that house. But the way you got it broken down, you might have to send 2 or 3 different people out there and inspect one house.
It shouldn't work that way.
Well, I mean, you got a building inspection coordinator, a building official, field engineering inspector.
How does that send more than one person if they're all qualified?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They all ought to be qualified, so you shouldn't have to send but one. So one of them ought to be paid the same thing.
I think the short version is if you hire somebody, like say as an example, excuse me, with no experience, then they would start out as a level 1. And then if you have somebody that's already maybe gotten some certifications, or they've been here 5 years, then they're at a different level, so that that new person can start here and work to that level. I think that's.
You may well not have anybody at that lower level. They may all be at that.
I understand that. I understand that.
Let me try
That's
this
the apprenticeship
different
program
way.
offer that you probably can
But
make.
you got them all in different
Out of
categories.
those 7 that we currently have, we have 2 descriptions, and that's a building inspector and a lead building inspector.
Okay?
That's all we have. Under this breakdown, we have a building inspections coordinator. You all just instructed us to hire one. We went out, we did so, got somebody we're working that. We have a building official, that's a qualification, it's a test that you have to take to get you that licensure. We have one of those. We have a building inspector too that currently works here. I don't know where the
So as an example, that person that's passed that test, he'd be in a category where he could make a little bit more money because he's at a
He
higher
has
level.
qualification to do it.
But
Right.
they all qualified to go out and inspect the house.
Right.
Well, they all have different qualifications for different inspections. I mean,
So
there's
that's-
electrical, mechanical, HVAC, it's
Well,
not
that's what
just one size fits
that was my
all.
question.
They
There's
each
a
have
couple
different.
people out there that inspect one house because they qualified for different things.
Well, no, they work on the other certification, and we have a building official.
Is that what you're trying to be sure of, is that we're not doing that, not moving to that?
Well, what I'm saying, a building inspector, they all should know the same thing, they all should get the same pay. if he's a building inspector, I'm a building inspector, we go out, you inspect one house on one side of the road, and both of us have our own house. I mean, this here, you got different people qualified for different things, is what he just said.
Well, here's another example, here's another example, like one of the things they just said was, some of the other guys are able to go do that inspection, even though they don't have a heating and air or an electrical license, because one person at the building does have a license, they can do it under him. So the person that has that license should be paid more. They couldn't go do that work if he didn't exist. They haven't reached that level yet, but they are able to go do the work.
Well, and basically the building inspections coordinator is just that. They are the Jackie Davis from days of old that manages that whole department. The building official under state law and IRC and IBC too can make code interpretations, but they can only do that if they are qualified as a building official through whatever that certification is, the Code, International Code Council, ICC, to do it. The other inspectors, they're just different levels of qualifications. They've either gotten more or less degrees or certifications than the other one, or been here longer periods of time.
So they all make different salaries according to this here, from 35, 37, 39, and 41.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's based on how much education they have, the knowledge they have, their expertise. It's with any other certification, if you look at, say, the prison, correctional officer 1 is one certification, correctional officer 2 is another certification.
I understand that.
So it's
they're all supervising inmates.
But now we have about 3 inspectors, so now we're gonna wind up, if we fill that other hole, we're gonna have 7 people in the building department.
We have 4 inspectors.
Okay, but they working under somebody. It's in the same
I don't know where
department.
the other 3 have come from. You talking about permit techs?
Yeah, the permit techs, I'm sorry, it's Caleb.
They're not. They take water payments, they take garbage payments, they take building permits, they take development plans. They're not in the building department, per se. Yes, that's part of the function they do, but they do a myriad of other things as well. We have currently 2 building inspectors.
So 35 and 37, and 39 and 41, they all have different jobs and they're not all building inspectors.
Those other 2 will be permit techs, which is job description is not yet brought to you.
Okay.
There'll be a subsequent meeting. We have 2 building inspectors today. We have a 3rd that you all just offered.
I understand
That
that.
starts in 11, and we have 1 vacant position.
Okay,
So that will be a total of 4.
that'll be 4 plus the 2 in the.
Well, the 2 permit techs, again, they do
Okay.
water payments, sewer payments. They take sign applications, business licenses. They don't simply do building permits.
All right. Well, I read through all this, but it's sort of confusing my little mind, you know?
Well, yeah, those 7 won't all be in one of those categories. 2 of those will be a permit tech position that will come up later
All right.
at another meeting.
It's just kind of a process that it's going to build
And the
on.
field engineering inspector 1 and 2 has nothing to do with the building permit. That's to do with the inspections position that we haven't had in 5 years, I guess. It's E&S inspections and subdivision inspections, had to develop. And that was under, what was that job description?
Field inspector.
Field inspector or something. We just hadn't had, the position's been vacant since 2000, and when Matt come to purchasing, 2010, 11?
Something like that, yeah.
And like you said, we're not trying to hire 2 positions, we're just trying to get job descriptions for the 2 of them.
All right. I'm through. Got it.
Any other questions? What you got, Mr. Jack?
Well, sir, I'm not against anybody, but Jack Gall, Clio, Georgia. I'm not against anybody getting a raise, but how about the other county employees? Are we working on anything for them?
We're talking about job descriptions here. We're not talking about salaries.
Well, you're talking about a raise, aren't you?
No, sir.
No,
This is-
just this description.
These are job descriptions.
It simply is a better, clearer outline of their job duties to help us administer
But
that.
are we looking at other positions?
We're going to be looking at all positions for job descriptions, yes, sir.
Do you think we'll get it done this year?
We're going to do our best. It needs to.
Now, let's be real clear, this doesn't tie to raises. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a job description.
I-
We did give everybody a raise last year.
I just want, I didn't know what Mr. Jack thought. I just
The
want to
entire
say
year.
that.
Appreciate it.
All this was in one department there, Jack. 272. You know what 272 is?
Any other questions? I'll call from the,
Make a motion to approve alternative one. So we're going to leave, I think, the job descriptions and pay raises for them.
Second.
a motion by Commissioner Floyd, second by Commissioner Kiefer. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve a hazard mitigation grant award. No, Clint?
Mr. Hodges is on the way to Atlanta, rather than make him sit through a meeting that he does so dearly enjoy and then have to take off. I agreed to be in his stead and let him go a little sooner. Trying to go without reading all this, but several years ago, we have a hazard mitigation plan that was prepared by a consultant for us to stay in compliance with FEMA, and I guess GEMA as well. It is now time to update that plan. We have to do so, I guess it's every 5 years. Yeah, it was approved October 13th, set to expire in October of 18. So between now and then, we need to be working on updating that plan. This is a grant from FEMA, I guess, for the preparation of said document. It's a $18,000 grant with a $6,000 match. The $6,000 match is in salaries, and the way that works basically is you take the time of each person that participates in it, calculate their salary, and you send that on to GEMA, I guess, it's who's administering this, for our part of the reimbursement. In other words, it won't cost us anything. It's budgeted salaries, the staff that go participate in it, the cities all participate in this as well. So it's something, again, we have to do. We would recommend you all approve this.
Been one or two other ones just like this, I think.
Grants or?
These, we were able to take salaries and use as our match.
That's right. There's an EMPG grant we use every year too that goes towards the salaries. This one is the same thing. This just isn't a yearly one. This is every 5 years. One.
Motion?
Make a motion to approve order number 1, to approve the hazard mitigation plan grant award.
I second.
Motion by Commissioner Logan, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve a resolution of surplus. Good evening, Ms. Fiona.
Good evening, Fiona Charlton, purchasing agent. From time to time, the county has broken, unused, damaged or extra inventory, and in order for the county to properly dispose of these items, they must be declared surplus in accordance with OCGA 36-9-2, which states that the county, quote, may by order entered onto its minutes, direct the disposal of any real property which may be lawfully disposed of, and make and execute good and sufficient title thereof on behalf of the county, end quote. This resolution consists of operational and non-operational vehicles, inoperable equipment and tools, and various scrap items. The proceeds from the sale of the surplus items will be used to purchase newer vehicles and equipment. Staff recommends alternative 1, board's approval of the resolution of surplus. Any questions?
I'm just wondering do we know what the condition of the last few items are? Most of them have, the condition of them, but the Caterpillar wheel loader, radar.
I believe the wheel loader is operable. Is that right, Thomas?
It is. That's the one that's currently out at the at sanitation, at the transfer station. It had some tire issues, but we're getting those replaced. Other than that, it runs. So we were gonna try to surplus that and actually
Get money
get
for
some
it.
money, yes, sir.
We just don't need it anymore.
We don't need it. We're trying to get that ramp. The ramp's under construction. As soon as the ramp's in, we shouldn't
We
need
don't
that
need it.
out there. And I don't know about the Great Hall or the Crown Vic. The other one, these metal recycle containers are the recycling bins that we used to have at all the schools. There used to be one behind DFAX, all over the place. We finally pulled all those back in, and those people procured those services themselves. So they're just metal dumpsters sitting out there. And I don't know about the BMAX mower either.
I think the BMAX mower is inoperable. The Crown Vic, I believe it runs, it was given to us last minute from the sheriff, but it's very old.
All of those were last minute, and I would say the wheel loader and the metal recycle bins was probably my handiwork concerning this while Ms. Charlton was out, so I apologize about it. I thought metal containers spoke for themselves, but you were right about the wheel loader. They're inoperable.
I figured we're just not making any, we're not making any bread anymore, so those bread racks, we probably,
Bread has been, yes, sir.
all right. Motion?
Make a motion to approve alternative number 1.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kiefer, second by Commissioner Loper. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried, surplus. Next item, consideration to approve an amendment to the financial policy addendum number 4.
And while this may be an inopportune moment, I would like to call attention, we usually do when we have guests in our midst. Ms. Fiona, my mother is here with us and wanted to, from England, and wanted to see how we operate an agenda here. And so, as always with Southern hospitality, we would like to recognize that she's here with us.
Well, nice to have you with us.
Thank you very
I
much.
now see the resemblance, just like her.
Sorry?
I said, I now see the resemblance.
So if you would, underneath your counters are all powdered wigs for you all. If you will be so kind.
I don't have my white wig. Well, nice to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Regarding the item number 5, as far as your policy, financial policy, if you recall, we brought this to you a few months ago, and the request was that our attorney review the particular language of this policy. We had used the language of qualified agencies, and this board asked that the attorney draft language that was sufficient with both county ordinance and state law regarding donations. And so what you see before you under item number 11, financial policy amendment number 4, is the language that our attorney drafted along with the original language that was in that policy regarding just the parameters under which we operate. I think the main crux of that language has to do midway down the page where it says donations of Effingham County surplus, real or personal property to individuals, charitable organizations, or any other entities is precluded by Georgia law, or Georgia Constitution, I should say. And it spells out to whom we can surplus or donate items to.
Where is that?
Yes, ma'am. Midway down the page, you'll see donations of Effingham County surplus, real or personal property to individuals, charitable organizations, or any other entities as precluded by Georgia Constitution.
In the middle of the black, is that what you're saying?
The block.
Yes, yes, ma'am. The second sentence also precludes some of that information that you were requesting, Commissioner Jones. Departments are encouraged to investigate whether someone else in their department or county or agency or county school system has the use of the item for county usage, not personal usage, before declaring surplus. And so, as I understand it at this point, it has to be within the county use or within the school system use for it to be exchanged.
I didn't see anything else particularly that issue.
I think the issue originally was that we used or qualified agency when we originally wrote this, and your question was, what is a qualified agency? And asking our attorney to establish what that would be. This basically establishes better guidelines for staff as to the fact that it can only be another county
State agency.
or state agency or school system. That just because it's a charitable organization, it does not allow us to donate or transfer. So we ask you for your approval with the clarification from the attorney.
Question?
I think you're fine. I mean, 99% of the time, nothing will ever come back. I just wonder, the $5,000, if you were ever close, who establishes that $5,000 figure?
Maybe we do staff,
Yeah,
just coming up with a value.
but how many times do we ever surplus anything that really has that kind of value that's not real estate?
Yes, sir. We set it at minimum, so we didn't put it the same way, giving staff some, the administrator in this case, leeway.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here trying to think through, and I don't see where that number is ever gonna bite us.
I mean, it still has to come in front of the board for surplus.
Yes.
So if there's an issue about value at that point,
I just like to. I think we're good. Go ahead. All right, give me a motion.
Make a motion to approve alternative number one.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Kiefer, second by Commissioner Lowe. All in favor? Any opposed?
Sorry, looking at it.
Motion carries. Next item, consideration to approve budget amendments for fiscal year 2015-16.
Yes, sir, as the board is aware, we do try to bring before you budget amendments for your approval from time to time. For the most part, we try to handle that when you've actually made the motion or prescribed for staff to follow through with certain functions. In this particular case, we have several different types of amendments. We have our per diem and travel amendments, which is simply moving money from Department 15 into those GL accounts for individual departments where those particular travel items have already been approved by the administrator. In addition to that, within these amendments, we also have the ECP order, which is based off of what ECP actually takes. So it is a expense and a revenue. You'll see that on page 2 of the amendment, along with, as you remember, we approved a drug court grant. So we are increasing revenue and increasing the expense within those accounts. This board approved us doing a lease for automobiles, and within governmental accounting, we have to increase our revenue for that revenue stream as other financing sources, and then also increase the 2 line items that have to do where we expend those particular trucks and autos that were purchased. In addition to that, we have a item within senior citizens where we had to do some repairs over on that building. We were simply moving funds within the senior citizens account to the various general ledger accounts that we needed it in. And then we have expenditures for the parkway, where the current year's expenditures have exceeded necessarily what we originally had budgeted, and that's within the fund balance for our SLOST. So we have gone ahead and made those adjustments. The other amendment, resolution to amend the budget, which is a secondary item, is on the building and permits revenue, where we have rearranged that personnel and are requesting a budget amendment there from existing revenues for the current year to fund those position changes.
Any questions? Motion?
Make a motion to approve alternative 1, approve the budget amendments.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Floyd, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried.
I'm gonna step down on this one, Chairman. Representative George Connell.
All right, let the record show. Item number 7, Commissioner Floyd stepping down to his employer, Georgia Power. Consideration to approve and authorize the chairman to sign a Georgia Power Company's encroachment agreement at Winfield subdivision.
This is, I think, the final piece of what we've been working on for quite a while with Mr. Larson over there when we were negotiating those easements. The final agreement that we got had sign-offs from his lender and Georgia Power in there, and we've obtained the signatures from him and the lender. We're working on Georgia Power. In talking to them, basically what they asked us to do was fill out an easement encroachment permit for an encroachment that was made in 2006. So the pipe is there, we're not asking to add anything, they just wanted us to go through this round, which will give us the authority to go across there and ultimately obtain their permission so that we can finally file what we got with Mr. Larson and be done with that. This is just kind of the last step. The encroachment was done in 2006, we didn't do it, and this is just the way they wanted us to go about it. So that's really all this is. It's paperwork following up with what we've been trying to get, which is those easements.
But we've talked to Georgia Power and this just...
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have, and this agreement came from them after going back and forth with an application. So as soon as we sign it, they'll sign it, we'll actually have that easement, basically, cross their easement, if you will.
Okay. All right. Motion.
Make a motion to approve alternate number 1. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Loper, second by Commissioner Kiefer. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Commissioner Floyd joins us back for item number 8, consideration to approve change order number number 1 with Tiffins Pope Construction Incorporated for the fleet maintenance facility.
This is actually something I asked them to provide to us. The plans for this building have a fenced area behind the actual building itself for the storage of vehicles as they're waiting to be repaired or for whatever reason they will be over there. And that depth of fencing is only 50 feet. So, and inside of that 50 feet, as you can see on the little picture I showed you, well, you can't very well, but there's a lean-to shed inside of that covers the air compressors and the oil drums and stuff. So that it's not a whole lot of room for actual storage. And I just asked them for a price to extend that fencing out. They provided one of $32.90 a foot. We compared that to pricing that we competitively bid around a year ago for fencing that went around our well sites, and found it to be in line with all the ones that we had attained at that time. So we feel like it's a fair price per foot. Again, it's up to you all if you want to do it or not. We just believe this will give us a little bit of additional storage. I put in here 150 feet down either side is where the 300 came from. That number could be anything, y'all want. Again, I asked them for this just because I thought we needed some additional storage back there. So if you're okay with approving it with a lesser amount, that's fine too. Just we have 50 now. This will get us to 200 feet of that. If you want to go shorter, we can certainly do that.
And this fence is how tall?
I believe it is a 6 foot high fence.
Chain link
Yes, sir.
and barbed wire on top?
I do not know. That's a great question. They priced whatever they had in the original plans, and I would have to, if you give me a second, I can tell you. I'll dig on the plans and see. But I don't know off the top of my head.
I was just looking through here and just wondering what we're getting for our $32. I thought the original fence had the sloped fence with the barbed wire around the top of it. And if so, yes, it's not a bad price.
I didn't even look, y'all. It was asking me whatever they're putting in there to give us that same price, and I'm just a little slow because it's wireless, but I'm trying to open that up for you.
Yeah, I think
And we don't have to do it, it's just now, we're saving a piece across the back, they would just move it down.
if we need it in the future, we might as well go ahead and do it.
Either way, we need the fence while they're there and can do it, and it all looks the same, but if it's got the barbed wire, it's extra security for people getting in there for what we're storing, so.
Right. And I also asked them for 2 additional ones. They're in our bid, we're taking one of the air compressors from the facility, moving it over, buying one brand new one, asking for a price for another new one to keep from bringing an old one in. And also the hose reels, we're taking down and moving. I asked for that too, but I will say those were more expensive than I felt like we should be spending. The hose reels for oil and stuff, those are easy enough changes out in the future if they die. The same with the compressor. It's plumbed, there's a valve there, you shut it off, you undo it, so we didn't bring those to you. But I do think this will be beneficial to have some additional storage right there. And I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, this thing's not coming up.
That's all right. Somebody want to give me a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve order number 1, to approve change order number 1 to Tiffins Pope Construction Incorporated.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Loper, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to authorize the chairman to execute a temporary construction workspace permit to Elba Express Company, granting permission to utilize company-owned property to store materials.
This is a follow-up to the same space we talked about in the last meeting that you all approved the survey authorization to go out there and look at that particular space. Again, as you stated, 75 by 300, adjacent to the property that was purchased from the county for the construction of that compressor station for the purpose of storing materials. One of the things and I get the names confused, whoever y'all, Elba Express on this one, I guess, whoever it had offered was $932, is that right, $935 as compensation for the use of this. and that's based on the market value times, storage and rental rate and all. One of the things that I've talked to Mr. Plouffe about, and I will say I threw this on him very quickly as he walked in the door, he hadn't had a chance to digest this, was, as you all know, we had some issues downstream from Staffordshire where drainage comes out. We've had problems there, and it goes to a facility that is owned by another company that's the same parent company as Mr. Plouffe is representing here. And I've asked him for some assistance in getting the drainage through their property cleaned out. And again, I brought this on him tonight, so you all can certainly ask us questions. And I think his answer, and I'll let him speak for himself, was, you know, he's not that person. He can't say yes, but he can certainly point us in the right direction.
Right.
You know, of who we need to speak with. So it would be my suggestion to you all that in exchange for compensation, I think the relationship and the help that Mr. Plouffe could get us there will be far more beneficial than the dollars on the other side, because in my conversation with our public works folks, I'm led to believe there's another foot and a half we could bring that water level down if we could just get some of this cleaned out. And it's not been a reluctance altogether from, there's some environmental issues, I think, that are going on. I don't know exactly what they are, but if we could work through those, I think it would benefit us a lot more. So,
And I'm aware of what he's talking about. I can't speak for this board, but I can speak for myself. I'm not interested in the $975, but I am interested in getting access to that property and getting this drainage problem straightened out. So
What I was telling Toss earlier is that, you know, everything has a beginning, and this was my first introduction to this evening. So typically, what we would do, or we would need to do, is we need to meet somebody out there on location at the site, kind of review what we're looking at, and then also definitively determine that we have control of the property, that it's not under some lease arrangement with somebody else or something of that nature. So that'd be the first step, and I can do that rather quickly. I can make some phone calls tomorrow morning, which is what I would prefer to do, because we're on a kind of a tight time frame. I would prefer to be able to maybe meet somebody from the county or whoever out there tomorrow. On site, I can have our operations supervisor, damage prevention. I can have some people that can help us know what the next step needs to be in determining what we can do. So.
And for the board members that may not know what I'm speaking of, we have this water issue out there behind Staffordshire that is backing water up. And what I just made mention of, we've had this issue, and Toss, elaborate however you want to, but we've had this problem back there, and no one seems to have the permission or whatever to say, go back there and let's clean this section out and let's drain this water across this piece of property. So here we have before us tonight something for us to give you or your company permission to use this piece of property for a fee. And the fee has been mentioned of maybe $975,
Yeah.
whatever that fee is. And I'm speaking, as I say, I can't speak for this board without their vote, but I'm saying that the money is not what's important to me. Getting access to this piece of property and getting this thing cleaned up to get this drainage issue is, because it's creating a problem.
As I mentioned also to Toss earlier, is that, you know, it would be, my position has typically been to cooperate, to try to make this happen. So, you know, I'm on board with getting out there tomorrow, investigating, looking at it, and seeing if there's something that we can do, something within our power to do.
So if this board, and Toss however leadership you want to, but if this board wishes to give a motion tonight for financial compensation for the use of this piece of property for us for consideration of our vote this evening to be for their company to correct this drainage issue, could we do that?
It would certainly be easier for me to write a check
I know that.
and go back home.
But it would certainly be a answer to our issue.
That's why I say I can stay here tomorrow and attend to this and give it some attention.
And I'm not trying to be hard to get along with, but this might be in the best interest of our county to hold this over.
Well,
if I can use this
I don't look at it like that. I look at it as working
We
together.
just need to get access in there to do it.
Well, and what
Really over.
Yeah, my understanding, we've had access, they've allowed us to get there, there's a pipe underneath the actual gas line, I guess, or somehow through there that comes under the fence, and then there's a section in the fence that has a natural drainage way, and my understanding is it was probably a wetland that was located in there, and through the permitting, they were told you can't touch this, and I think the challenge today is to say there are permitting ways around that, so how can we work this out? How can we get, you know, if it's just temporary access removing, what's it gonna take to do it? And yes, we'll do the work. I think we can handle a lot of the permitting, we just need the permission to go move forward.
Right, and that's what I'll try to help.
And honestly, I think we just haven't talked to the right people. So our public works folks, talking to probably some of y'all's maintenance folks or something. We just need to get to the right people that can make it happen, I think.
Can you have somebody to meet him out there tomorrow? He said he'd stay over tomorrow.
I cannot have someone, but I will do it myself.
Okay.
As long as you can do it before 1 o'clock, and I know you want to get out of here, so.
I'm thinking, no, I've got lots of other things. I'm gonna be visiting with some
Okay.
people. so
Yes, sir, I will
maybe
make-
10 o'clock.
I will
something like
absolutely get there, and I'll get some of our guys that have had the story too, you know,
Okay.
that can meet us.
that. Be perfect.
But me and Wes will go meet you tomorrow, make sure this gets taken care of.
Okay.
And sir, if you would state your full name for the record, please.
Pardon me?
State your full name for the record, please.
Michael Klug.
Thank you.
So, having said all of that, Elba Express Company is interested in utilizing a 75-foot wide by 375-foot long portion of property owned by Effingham County for temporary storage of materials.
Actually, Chairman, it came out to be 400 feet.
400 feet.
70 by 400 feet. 0.643 acre.
So before us, we have a temporary construction workspace permit beginning on May some date 2016 and expiring May some date 2017. That's the first thing. I want a date May something to May something 2017. I don't like dates. I like dates someday.
First or third.
Someday.
The worst it can be is the last day of the month.
I don't like ambiguous dates.
I understand. Okay.
And, we can put in there, it's got in there $10 and other good and valuable consideration. We can have this other good and valuable consideration, as long as the board understands this agreement.
And also, I said to Toss, and I think you probably appreciate this as well, just as though when I'll present something to him, such as this workspace permit, and he'll say to me that that's not my place to grant that permission. That's the commissioner's place. The same thing is true here. I'm here tonight requesting this, and as hopefully I'm communicating, I will try to do everything I can do to help y'all with this situation. Get the right people out there tomorrow. We can meet out there. We can look and see what we've got. So, in the past, we'd be more than willing to do what we can do, as long as it doesn't interfere with the operations of the facility as it is. So, you know, I want to try to help if I can.
But you have to understand, and he is correct, he cannot bind this board. It is only by board vote. Just as I cannot bind this board except by board vote. And I can't tell you what this board's condition is going to be, but I would hope that this board's condition on its vote is going to be to grant you this based upon your successful action in getting this done.
Well, and I can accept that. That would be contingent, of course, on, as he's already mentioned, there's environmental issues and there's other things. So
I understand.
Assuming that things can move in that direction.
I understand.
How about if we table this? Would it hurt you if we tabled it till the next meeting?
No, it wouldn't be a problem. We're hoping to start something probably middle of May.
Well, y'all can get together tomorrow and you can find out what
Right.
you could do and what you couldn't do.
Yeah.
Then we
Would that be your preference?
That would be fine. I mean, I'm here to do what y'all want to do. So that'd be fine with me.
That's fine.
You know, like I say, I deal with things like this all the
It
time.
doesn't interfere with your schedule, that's the best.
And
That's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't do that if it did not work for you. If you
That's
did
what I asked.
stress, we would get this done.
That's not going to interfere with our schedule because we already know that you have another meeting in a couple of weeks, and so we've started the process, and I wouldn't necessarily have to be here.
Which is fine, as long as we've had this dialogue, you know what we want, and we know what you want, and
Yep.
we're on the same page.
Yep, I agree.
There you go.
I agree. Okay.
Good.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
And we appreciate it. I'm not trying to beat you up. We're just trying to come to a good, successful conclusion on two ends.
Well, again, I'm interested in win-win, so
There you go.
we can do that.
I've heard that before.
It's in some book
somebody
somewhere.
Vice Commissioner.
Thank
A very wise commissioner.
Okay. Well, I'll give Toss a call tomorrow, and you by text or something.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Chairman, with that said, I'll make a motion to table this item until the next meeting.
And the date of that meeting, Stephanie?
April 19th.
April 19th. Motion by Commissioner Kiefer, second by Commissioner Loper to table item number 9 to April 19th meeting. All in favor? None opposed? So tabled. Next item, consideration to approve an additional work authorization for EMC Engineering Services for Courthouse Road Extension.
Mr. Chairman, this is a project we've been working on for quite a while, and what ends up happening is in the 2 years we've been working on this since the initial survey, lots have been subdivided, additional fences have been put up, driveways have been put in, things that we have to put up. We're getting to a point now where the plans are almost done, and when we get to that point of the plans being done, we'll have to do two things. We'll have to go back and update the survey to catch anything that wasn't in there, so that as we're negotiating with property owners, we know about the fence that has to be removed, or whatever the case is, additional driveways that have to be installed, and we'll also have to pull title again to all of these parcels so that we have fresh title and verify that we're negotiating with the person that actually owns the property. Well, the three things, I guess, and we'll have to hire somebody to do the negotiations for us. So this is something that we need to do. We will work the timing out on this though until, we won't cut them loose today. We'll make sure it's right at the end, once plans have been done, so that the last thing we do is update the survey, the title, give them to the acquisition folks and let them start going through and actually picking up right away.
Questions? Motion?
Make a motion to approve alternative one. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Floyd, second by Commissioner Kiefer. All in favor? Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to approve an agreement for roundabout lighting, energy, and operation and maintenance costs for State Route 275, County Road 307, Rankin-Stillwell Road, GDOT intersection improvement project.
Trying to remember, quite some time ago, you all signed a letter of support, indication of support for this particular intersection. And part of that document that you signed said that you would enter into a formal lighting agreement at such time. This is that time. They're moving forward. Basically, it says that you will pay for the energy cost to run the lights and any maintenance on those lights. GDOT will install them as part of the project. We have to maintain them and pay for the energy to do them. And obviously, if one gets damaged, we have to replace them. So, with that said, I would recommend y'all's approval of this.
Is that still called Rankin-Stillwell Road?
It's not, it's all Old Augusta, but it's on their books.
They're still.
Once you program a project, it's really possible to change the name of it without reprogramming it.
And where is their,
That's the old Rankin-Stillwell Road.
where is this on their timeline? Do you know?
No, sir, I'm trying to think at our last Transportation Advisory Board meeting what the status update was. I know they've done they held the first PIA, so working on environmental and preliminary engineering. I just can't remember the percentages of it. It's still a little ways
Next
out.
summer.
Yeah, it's still a year or so out.
Motion?
Make a motion to approve alternate number 1, approve the agreement and authorize the chairman to sign it and the required E-Verify affidavit.
Motion by Commissioner Lover, second by Commissioner Kiefer. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next item, consideration to authorize the chairman to sign an indication of roundabout support for the intersection of Old Augusta and Fort Howard Road.
This is the same thing we just, in all fairness, this is unsolicited by them. I'm trying to be proactive in this. They don't have a PI number assigned to it. We were just, and this may not really be, this is the format that they use for indication of roundabout support. Really what I was trying to do is just us go on record saying that we support GDOT for moving forward. We have had conversations with their district traffic engineer who has forwarded a request up to the state looking for any sort of all-system monies. I personally had a conversation with a DOT commissioner about it. It's on her radar. She's mentioning it at any time they get. So we're trying our best to find some funding for this. We actually internally drew up some stuff the other day based on the information we had just to keep it moving forward. And again, this is unsolicited by them. I'm just asking for you all, if you'd be so kind as to give your support that we could offer to them.
And we just figured out we've got enough right of way for it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Well, and this is one of those places that we've already, since Old Augusta's been enhanced and everything, we've already had several problems. So we think this could be a benefit.
We can't. Again, there's not even a traffic study on it, really. We just asked what everybody believes that the solution would be, and there's still some steps. We're just trying to push it anyhow
So
we
this will be
can.
2 years out, if they okay it or not, at least 2 years.
It depends on how it's done, who does it. What we were trying to do is get GDOT to fund it. We would do the engineering on it. Depends on how they fund it to do it, whether it's LB funds, whether it's a program project, quick response, just depending on what sort of funds they can find. It could be a lot quicker. We have the right of way. There's no environmental clearances. There's no utility relocates.
So we need to get it on the books anyway.
I like that we're being proactive with this.
Yes.
It gives it a chance to be more fast track.
Correct. And we're trying to go ahead and basically get plans drawn out in 2D that we can hand them. We're just looking for the money and is all.
Yeah, I like it.
Motion?
I make a motion that we approve alternative number 1.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Loper. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Item number 13 was removed at the beginning of the meeting. That is the last item of business.
Item number 13 was tabled.
Do what?
Item number 13 was tabled, but we didn't specify.
It was tabled, I'm sorry.
I misspoke.
All right. Let the record show.
If you want, one second, one thing,
Okay,
that Commissioner Deloach wants
Sorry,
to mention.
I'm
to you
not,
all.
I just, I got something.
Yeah, one thing I'll let y'all go, he asked me to mention this to y'all, and I'll do it really quick. The Boy Scouts do an annual cleanup every year, and they're about to do that April 9th. And in the past, we have allowed them to just take that, whatever they pick up out to our transfer station and leave it free of charge. We now, since Republic operates that, everything that goes through is paid for, whether it's ours or municipality or somebody else's. He wanted me to ask you all, now we could take it out there and pay for the charges. It's 11 cents a pound, and it's literally will pick up. I mean, it can't amount to a whole lot of anything.
But it's literally picking up in public.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
But what I told him is we have a schedule of fees. I can't waive those fees. You all would
Yeah.
have to be able to either, and I don't know, we can waive them because we're paying Republic, but we would pay them on their behalf.
Yeah.
So he asked me to bring that
Yeah,
up.
I know, but it's literally picking up from our roadway.
And with that, I'll let you go.
We'll pay the price.
Yes, sir.
Boy Scouts are gonna be picking it up.
Yes, sir. April the 9th, it's called the Great American Cleanup.
They're good enough to pick it up.
We're good enough to pay the
Okay, I appreciate that. He wanted me to ask him. So.
Was there any, Cindy, was there any minutes or anything that we need to get on before we leave?
Yes, ma'am.
If you're gonna stay while we're passing that out, the only other things, your animal shelter reports up there, that the firm community meeting we borrowed the last 2 times is gonna be April 21st. Just leaving it on there, there's a letter in here, we talked about it twice. And then the last thing, this land and water conservation grant that we applied for, you wanna, Terry?
Who what?
The grant. You want me to do it?
Go ahead.
There's a letter in here, we told you that we applied for 2 grants on a recreational facility. The first one has come back and it has been recommended, that was scored high enough to be recommended for funding. The next step is the formal application, which is being prepared now and goes to the National Park Service. Let me just say, it is our indication that all that's a formality, that we have this money, but I just want to be very clear that officially it is, they've approved it, we're submitting a formal application to the Park Service. There was $2 million in funds allocated, only 1.5 show up on the approvals. It should be a slam dunk, it's $100,000. This one's for the batting cages and 1 field. We have to match $130,000, but it's project funds anyhow. We discussed this earlier. So that $100,000 looks like we're gonna get in. And there's still another one out there that we're supposed to hear back in October, I believe. That's all I have.
All right, we all got the executive session minutes for March 15th. You look at it. Now, motion.
Motion to approve the executive session minutes from March 15, 2016.
Second. We have a motion by Commissioner Kiefer, second by Commissioner Loper to approve the minutes as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Unanimously. Let the record show Commissioner Kiefer is leaving at this time. Still have time. All right. Toss, did you say that was all you had?
That's all I have, sir. I can make something up if you want me to.
All right. Go ahead then, Commissioner Jones, you got something?
What, remind me, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the subdivision for some reason, but the water pressure issue.
Timberlake?
Yes, would you address?
I did. I have an answer for you. We looked at adding that particular loop, the one I was discussing, and that is, if you all recall back, it's probably been a year and a half ago, we discussed different loops that we could do within the system that would either help water pressure or quality. One of which is from Greystone to Timberlake. It eliminates those dead ends just between the 2 of them. There was the other one out Blue Jay to 17 and one more somewhere. We looked at that and it does help the pressure, but by 400ths of 1 PSI. So effectively it doesn't do much pressure wise.
Where we stand with the city of Savannah, or
29th is what they're telling me now.
they'll be back up.
Yes, sir. 29th of this month, which is longer than they originally said. They originally anticipated coming back online the 15th of this month. They're now saying the 29th. It's what their official line is, well, it's an old plant. We found things we didn't know when we got into it, yada, yada. So anyhow, it's taken, again, Mr. Lloyd just told me that the other day, a letter is going out in the bills that are currently being sent out, or I just went out one of the two. And I'll be glad to get each of you a copy of that. It explains in a lot more detail the fact that we're tethered to the city of Savannah, that we are pursuing an alternative water source. It talks about potential booster stations, talks about fire protection, how we're prepared to handle that while these system pressures are down. Goes through a little bit more detail other than just saying your water's down for now. So
To make a long story short, I have 2 or 3 different subdivisions, people that are living within these subdivisions that don't have sufficient water pressure, and they've been complaining for a long time. And now that Savannah is doing this work, of course, it's exasperated that it made it worse, but even when Savannah goes back to normal, we still know factually that we have some issues on our end that we need to address. And because this has exasperated, it's made it perfectly clear to these citizens and they've had enough. That's, I guess, what I'll say. If they're talking within their, most of them now that do have homeowners associations, they have private Facebook pages of where they all go discuss things. And so they will be, if we can't give them something that we intend on doing to try to improve their situation, other than saying, let's wait on Savannah on the end of the month. Because they hear that, but they still, they're, at this point, it's so bad that sprinkler systems will not pop on. They pay for sprinkler systems they cannot use, so they can't even use that. That's just a total waste of money. But when Savannah, gets that fixed again, we're just still not right. So we've been talking through things for a long time, and that's part of the problem. We've been talking through it for years. But I think we know that we need to at least add a booster station somewhere, maybe 2 or 3, and I think Toss is looking at that and locations. But I guess I just want the board to know, these people expect something to be done. They're probably going to come in a group, maybe to the next meeting, they might get on the they're going to do what they need to do at this point, because I want to help them accomplish that, but I think maybe everybody needs to hear from them, because that might help the board go ahead and decide. But Toss is working on looking at whether we need 1 or 2 in the location of, and then seeing what we can do about funding that, because, and another little piece of it is, one possibility you mentioned to me is a location. A good location might be that little piece of property that we own, that we almost surplus.
we did surplus, we just no
But
longer.
then nobody moved on it, so we might be able to use that as a location, as a possibility.
Where's that?
On Hodgeville, right here at Cobra.
Where the dumpsters used to be located.
That's right, because that's not a booster station at the county line. That's just a metering station.
And he said that would be a better location than probably the one.
Well, and the problem I think that we're going through me in my head is to put it at the county line. You got to overcompensate on the closer parts to get the pressure on the farther parts.
Right.
It makes more sense to be in the middle somewhere. And in fact, what I really think makes even more sense than that is isolating the system into different zones, pressure zones, and affecting the pressure so that the entire system has an equal pressure, not some higher just to compensate some lower because you can't get it too high here. And where we're at on that is we asked HEB, they were kind enough to give us our data that we paid for, and Wes has been in there playing around with the modeling, which is how we know these connections won't work. What we want to do now is to begin to look at different scenarios of boosters, how it affects the system, and hopefully what we end up with is 2 or 3 smaller stations rather than one larger one scattered throughout the system that we may can implement over steps rather than at one time. We have a meeting set up right now on Monday, I believe it's at 2 or 3, where Chris Burke with HEB is actually going to come in here and he's getting with Wes and they're going to discuss some of that. And kind of where we left it is, we want to get it started down that road and we're going to run the scenarios and then we'll get back with you for design and system improvements. But we want to do a little bit of that lead work to cut out $800 bills every time we turn around and to speed it up, quite frankly. You know, so we were trying to do it a little more quickly. So that will, he's played with it some on Monday, we're gonna get into it, so by our next meeting, we'll have a lot better, we'll be able to tell you this is a scenario we believe is a workable solution.
And that might be the best way, to start at that bottom, put smaller stations to boost coming up. And then if we come up here and put something up high
Yeah.
and come down and tight,
Again, to not get into a hydraulics lesson that nobody cares to hear in here, but you know, part of our system is affected by elevation too. You know, water going uphill loses pressure.
and that's what we're doing. We're
So from
pushing
the
up.
county line to Emerald, like we talked about, is 20 PSI worth of elevation difference. So it begins to affect, we have to overcompensate by 20 PSI on the lower just to get a decent pressure here. So instead of doing that, we find where it falls off, we put a valve there and we start controlling the pressures independently.
So you're saying to spend $1.5 million, which I think it was.
It was just over $1 million, it was $1.1 million or so.
Put the loop from 17 around to,
That was $1 million, yes, sir.
and only get a half PSI?
No. This is only between Greystone and Timberlake, and if you look on the map, you got Blue Jay and Horse Pen, they're literally separated by a wetland.
Right.
So if you go between those two, what it'll help is water quality. So it won't be a dead end line, it doesn't help pressure as much. You know, the loop you're referring to helped a good bit. If you recall those maps we showed y'all in January, that helps a lot, but that's $1 million, $1.5 million, whatever. The booster was another $1 million, $1.5 million. So it's somewhere between 2 and 3 billion to do both of those. Unless we start breaking it up into small pieces and looking at it.
I definitely feel like we at least need to start phases, like if we need to do a booster station and then a loop or a loop. We need to start something, to start improving water pressure to that area. We're running a water and sewer system, and they need to have adequate pressure. It's not me.
Yes, ma'am. And again, just to tell you all right, we're in earnest working on the
Yeah,
hydraulic
it's just-
side of that, determine,
You've been pretty with it.
you have to determine the proper solution.
And every year we talk about whether we're going to raise water rates. Let's talk about that, Tom, see how that goes this year.
And Chair, when I finally got the plans to go up, it does have barbed wire on top of it, 6 foot
I was-
barbed wire.
Yeah.
Finally got it to come up.
I thought the original one did.
I was trying to avoid, I was hoping we could get it far enough along that they wouldn't all have to come here and make a show, but we can't get something going there.
I will have you a solution by the next meeting. I'm not sure that'll include funding, but I'll have it from a, engineering standpoint, I'll tell you what needs to be built.
We'll start talking to the finance.
Yeah,
director
somebody
about
else
looking
is
at
going to have to
funding.
fund it. That's not my fault.
Thank you. I know you're working on it, I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I have.
I'll back it up.
Reggie?
I'll pass tonight.
Catherine won't know why I'm not there.
I'll bring it up next week.
Okay. Any other staff?
Speak now for a public peace.
No executive session?
That's good.
Have I forgot anything? I don't have Phil to remind me, so I got to ask y'all. Who usually keeps me straight?
Need a motion?
Give me a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Loper to adjourn, and he's already walking away. All in favor?
It's too late.
Yeah. All in favor? Any opposed? Go home. Go home. Or stay.